Hello everyone, it has been an explosive 24 hours in our great game, so let's strip it back with three of the absolute best: Tim Watson, Trent Cotchin and Joel Selwood. And nowhere else we're going to start. Adam Simpson, no longer the coach of the West Coast Eagles.
No, he's not, Jimmy. And welcome back to you, by the way. We did miss you last week.
Apparently you did.
Me in particular. No, I don't think that caught anyone by surprise. It certainly didn't catch him by surprise yesterday. After that record, that run, probably the mood starting to change at the West Coast Eagles. But it's always sad when you see a coach get up there and have to face the media after that, and you got the other, you got the CEO on one side and you got the chairman on the other side, and he's having to sit there while they're talking about why they arrived at that decision publicly. But I think he did it as well as you can possibly do under those circumstances, Trent.
Yeah, he certainly did, and I'm looking forward to asking, what does the send-off look like? I know that he was offered the game to coach as a farewell game, but has recently said that he won't be taking that opportunity. But I'm sure the club will celebrate, everything that he's done for that footy club over the last 11 years.
And it's been a great 11 years in saying that. You think of his record up into the last few years, a winning percentage of nearly 65%. So he's been great for the footy club and hopefully goes out the right way.
I reckon there's a couple of things he won't miss. There's been plenty of scrutiny on him over there.
No,
it's a fishbowl, isn't it? WA, the Eagles are a massive club and they certainly haven't missed him.
Nice of the West Australian newspaper to take up on what he said about how cruel the media can be at times, because they just went to a whole new level with the front page on the West Australian today, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But, I don't know that he got chased out of he got chased out of the job over there. I think it's the record. Like, the losses, there's an accumulation of those losses. And then I think, as I said before, there's the mood of the locker room. And I don't know about the text messages that were exchanged between players, but, board directors, they really start to get jumpy when they hear that players aren't happy and there's some unrest at player level.
All right, so no farewell game. He was offered one, didn't want to take it. You had Dimmer leave in your time at Richmond. Did you have a similar situation with him where you wish he maybe had have coached for a last time?
Yeah, I think it's more so from the conversations that happened beyond that time, and it wipes any of the unease that might be sitting there with player-coach relationships that Tim might have spoken about. And it's just a nice way for someone who has been such an integral part of the last chunk of time at that footy club to be able to give them a send-off. And now maybe it's too awkward and there's a lot more water that's gone under the bridge that we don't know about that doesn't really allow for that. But from a playing point of view, someone who you've played under for a long period of time, and Simmo seems like one of those coaches you love to play for, I think it would have been nice.
And it just seems like that it was over to him to make that decision too, which I think too right that he gets to, have his way in these last bits. And it would feel like it happened yesterday, obviously, so it would have been a long week to hang around for, to get ready for a game. He'd want to do justice to it, and it's a lot of hard work.
Hey, Trent, you've just been through this because you were part of the selection panel at Richmond to choose their new coach after Damien Hardwick, Adam Uze. What advice would you give the West Coast Eagles in terms of, already they've mentioned, Dean Cox and other people that are around being associated with them, Ashley Hansen, that type of thing. What advice would you give them, given that you've actually had a look at this pool of talent that's out there in a coaching sense?
Yeah, well, I think, obviously, the talent that is originally from local Perth are brilliant talent in their own right. But there is also a lot of talent that's here in Melbourne and elsewhere across Australia that I think that they should definitely explore. And from a process point of view, I really enjoyed the fact that Richmond brought in key people that were outside of AFL industry and had had experience on other panels. And I think they provide such great insights as to what's not just going on inside the AFL land, and the way that, coaching, as much as our game is a very complex game, it's very much about people, and they had some great insights with regards to that as well.
Welcome back to Talking Footy. Yesterday, the West Coast Eagles and Adam Simpson, their coach, agreed to part ways, and Simmo has been good enough to join us from the West. Adam, firstly, welcome, mate, and secondly, 11 years, 2 grand finals and a premiership, and now you've got spare time on your hands. How's it all feeling?
Yeah, look, it's. Obviously it's ended pretty quickly, JB. But yeah, look, I've had a good run. Last couple of years have been a fair challenge, it's fair to say. But overall, I walk away with some great memories at West Coast Eagles and Perth and WA, and our family's really grown up here and met some really good people along the way and really good players. So, yeah, walk away disappointed and sad, but also a little bit relieved as well, mate.
Well, you walk away with a lot to be tremendously proud of. We're going to get to that. But can I ask you when you knew? Did you get an inkling that this was coming? What happened there?
Oh, look, it's been a real challenge the last couple of years, no doubt. And with the changing of the CEO last year with Trevor, and he's such a powerful influence on the club, I sort of understood and I agreed with we should continue to go on together with myself and really try and stagger things. And I was up for the fight, up for the long haul, but it was pretty clear by halfway through this season, in the back end, the last few weeks in particular, that had the conversations I had with Don, who's been terrific for the club, really honest, and we come to a mutual agreement that we'd wind it up now and get someone new in, and it gives you the ability to recruit staff, recruit players. It gives a bit of space for the back half of the year, and the club can move forward and I can move in a different direction.
Well, Simmo, you obviously got a lot of well wishes throughout this period, but the interesting ones are always the ones who you least expect them from. Can you fill us in on any of those?
Hayden Valentine texted me today, which was interesting. I think there was a mutual agreement on the media in the West. But I've had a lot of support and a lot of well wishes, and I've been in the industry for a long period of time. So despite the fact it's really big, it's well connected, and there's so many good people. So yeah, appreciate a lot of support.
And Simmo, I don't know you at all, but you're one of those coaches that I've always loved the idea of wanting to play under. Is relationships with players something that has always been a strength of yours? And on the outside of that, a follow-up question, is being a senior coach still part of the plan in the future? Thanks for that. I learned a lot at North Melbourne and under Dennis and Danny at the time. A lot about unity and a lot about mateship. It was a real strength of our footy club. Footy trips were compulsory, so might have got out of whack a little bit, but I learned a lot about education and total football at Hawthorn as well. So when I got the job, I was really keen to bring back footy trips, and that won the boys over pretty quickly. And then lift the standards in terms of understanding the game, and taking over from Woosha and been a little bit intimidated by the club and how big it was, but I found my groove pretty quickly, and we connected as a group, and really fortunate to play in the grand final in 15. Probably not quite ready for that, but a few years later we get to Salute in 18, and yeah, my values haven't really changed and the way I go about it hasn't really changed, but obviously the last couple of years has been a real challenge, and yeah, I'm not quite sure what the future looks like. I need to take a deep breath, have a break, disconnect a little bit and reassess in a couple of months.
Hey, Simmo, my old coach, Kevin Sheedy, said to me once that sometimes, a coach falls in love with his players. And I think when you've been on a long journey with a group of players and you've had success like you did during that journey, then the relationship changed between you and the players. Did you find that part of it harder or easier to coach those players that have been on that long journey with you the longer it went?
Yeah, it's a good question, Tim. I know there's a loyalty piece, isn't there, to when you have success with a group and you back them in for an extra week or two. I think that's what you're alluding to, and I totally understand how that may look, and our players haven't let us down too often. The last couple of years has just been such a massive challenge, isn't it? There's been no integrity at match committee, really. It's been who's available and who can play, whether you're fit or not, or you're underdone. So yeah, it's the last few weeks I can understand the conversation around it's time to play more younger players, but our list is different. They've got, 8 or 9 premiership players, and guys over 30, and then you've got really young players who aren't quite ready. And where we're lacking a little bit is just the middle group. The core group that's between 24 and 28, and they're the ones you really should be relying on, and we just don't have the depth in that area. So it's been a challenge. Yeah, I've had some really good times with some players who I've been with from the very beginning, but yeah, I'm not quite sure if it's gotten away with selection.
Offered the chance for a farewell game this coming weekend and said no. Why?
Yeah, I buggered that one up. Pike and I had spoke beforehand, and he sort of asked if it was on the table, and I wasn't quite sure at the time, and I think I might have projected the wrong message there, because I wasn't really keen at the time, and I wasn't as clear as I should have been. So by the time we got to the press conference, I reckon that was on me, that one. So yeah, looking at how it all works, after your press conference, you go home and I don't know, you just slip straight into a different mode, and having match committee and press conferences and pre-game and post-game and all those things, I think whilst I could have done it, I just don't think I needed to. So really keen to get to the ground, mainly for the fans. I really appreciate what the members have done for our club, and for me personally, the last 12 months, they've sort of had our backs a little bit. So I'd like to acknowledge that pre-game. I don't know, I might toss the coin or something, but yeah, I'll get out of the way pretty quickly.
So you've got a dinged-up player in Gov in Adelaide, got broken ribs among about 17 other injuries. It's my understanding his wife has flown to Adelaide to pick him up, to drive him home, to play in the game were you to coach. Now that you're not coaching, is he still in the car or has he turned back around?
He's on the Nullarbor somewhere. No, he's got a punctured lung and a broken rib. So to drive back to WA is one thing, and it just shows you the type of guy he is. Like he's an absolute legend, 4-time All-Australian. He's having a terrific year, but he's been banged up, so he can't play. So either way, coming back to support me and the players was his priority. And I spoke to him today, and he said, regardless of whether he was going to play or not, he wanted to get back, and just shows you the character of the man. And I don't know how long it takes, but it's a fair effort.
Simmo, speaking of Gov just there, which other players will you miss coaching? No, I don't have. Well, I've got favourites, but it's just the journey I've been on. I've sort of been through a few little eras, really. I mean, when we started, and just like the guy who's going to take over from me, or girl who will take over from me, you get to forge new relationships and build new trusts, and you see them grow as young men into adults, into fathers and husbands. And I'm really proud of some of our players and their values over the years. So. Yeah, no real favourites, but just seeing the guys grow as men has been pretty special.
If you can't name your favourite players, is there another favourite moment outside of holding the cup aloft in 2018?
18 was pretty good. Look, I think there's some moments that I'll cherish forever that weren't quite connected to on-field performances. Some of the resilience of our players and what they've dealt with personally over the years, and playing under adversity or with injuries, all those little things that you do at footy clubs that doesn't really get out, but you sort of know how much of a challenge it was to get up. I mean, even last year, the Bulldogs game, I think we just lost by 120 odd points against Fremantle in our home derby, and for them to go over and play the way they did, I wish they played like that every week, but I think they played for something that's really hard to do every week. It was really based on a lot of emotion and connection with me and the board and Trevor, and I thought there was a distinct connection in that game.
Hey, Simmo, a couple of moments ago you mentioned when we were talking about the replacement, you said a boy or a girl. Daisy Pearce is not in the frame to replace you, is she?
Well, I'm not in that conversation, but, she's at the club. I don't think Pikey's putting his hand up either, but, I know he can coach as well, but that's not my problem. I'm more worried about the deep clean on the kitchen that I need to do in the next couple of weeks.
You have plenty of time for that. Now, there's a lot of speculation out there. The media is buzzing about some vision of you when you actually entered the room. You went down a bit of a corridor there, and you went to your side, I think to your left, and you made comment there as you went past Bailey Williams and also Harley Reid about what it was that you might have said to them. Now, can you actually tell us what it was that you did say?
Yeah, I can. It's a bit embarrassing. Well, it's not embarrassing, but it's embarrassing for whoever come up with the speculation. Bailey's got the dirtiest red moustache I've ever seen, and I said, mate, you need to get rid of that moustache. And that's what I said. And I don't know how it's been portrayed, but he looks like Goose off Top Gun. It's not a good look. So I said, mate, you've got to get rid of that moustache. And that's what I said. And I didn't even know Harley was there. So, I'm not sure how that's been portrayed. Just shows you what can happen, as much as I enjoy the connection with the media. Sorry.
I was just about to ask you that. I reckon of all the things you're going to miss when you step out for a while, the intense scrutiny might not be one of those things.
Yeah, I've been okay with it, JB. I mean, it gets frustrating at times when you're trying to project a message or be as honest as you can, and it just gets taken out of context, or there's a bit of a vendetta or agenda, but mate, it's part of the industry. I sort of get that. It might be a bit different over here. It seems to be a bit different, goes to another level, but no, I won't miss it. But yeah, it's part of the game to a certain degree.
All right, what about the future, mate? I know you've got some time to spend with your beautiful wife, Nikki, and the kids, and you'll love doing that, but I get the feeling with you that footy's not going to be absent from your life for too long. Would that be fair?
Well, my wife, Nikki, it's been one day and she's already had enough of me. So it's normally a day off, so I don't know what's going on, but I think she's a bit worried about spending more time with me. So, yeah, I'll be busy. I'll have a break. Enjoy watching the game, enjoy watching West Coast, enjoy watching North, and then, when the time's right, I'll sit down and try and work through what's the next phase of my life, and I'll keep moving forward.
You've been assistant to Al Clarkson previously. I know it's very early days, but would the whole idea of going back to North Melbourne excite you and entice you in any way?
Not today. That's no disrespect to North. I love the Kangas. We had a 99 reunion a few weeks ago, but I need to take a breath, Tim. It's a bit early, mate. But look, I've still got passion for the game and love for the game, and I reckon the industry as a whole really struggled through COVID, and then the soft cap and what we all went through. And I think we're just coming out of it now, and hopefully they lift the cap up for the clubs, because it's been a real challenge to keep and maintain staff and recruit. It feels like it's turned the corner a little bit, and the game's a bit healthier, so hopefully it keeps improving.
Well, you've done a lot of miles on those aeroplanes, only 6 business class seats that you've managed to have over a period of time. But I'm sure if you were to coach again, it might be a little bit easier coming back to Melbourne. Someone said to me today, I know I was the coach, but to win a premiership from interstate is getting harder and harder, and WA in particular is a real challenge. So, for Fremantle and West Coast, I think when I started, Gold Coast and the Giants were just sort of getting going. Although it's pretty easy wins when you played them. And, with Tassie coming in a few years, just the challenge of getting success interstate, it's really difficult. We get a charter flight now, so it's a bit different with the business class seats. I don't know where that started, but both clubs get charter flights, so it's sort of null and void with that one. But yeah, look, it's a difficult competition to play when you're interstate. I've got a really good understanding and empathy for interstate clubs now, way more than I did when I was in Melbourne.
Simmo, you've been very generous with your time. We really appreciate that. There aren't many people that get to coach at the elite level. There are even less that coach for 11 years, and let's wind it back even further. Make 2 grand finals and win 1. You've been an absolute ornament to the game over there. We've watched from afar and really been so impressed with what you've done. So congratulations and good luck with everything that's coming up for you and your beautiful family.
Thanks, JB. Thanks, boys.
Thank you for that, Simmo. We really appreciate it, mate. We're off to a break. Great to have your company on Talking Footy. Mitch Cleary has moved in, the senior newsbreaker for the 7 Network. And Mitch, welcome, firstly. Secondly, you just heard Adam Simpson. What'd you make of it?
I'm glad he cleared up the Bailey Williams interaction, because that's been whipped up into a frenzy over the last 24 hours. Also, keen to hear him say that he's not walking away from footy just yet. I think we'll see Adam Simpson back in some role in footy in the next 12 to 18 months. Keep an eye on a role in Victoria, potentially, whether that be in North Melbourne as an assistant under Clarko, who he's worked with previously, or even Luke Beveridge at the Bulldogs. He's got a close relationship with Bevo, and the kennel wouldn't be the worst place for him.
What about the fallout from this moving on of Adam Simpson?
There's always dominoes that fall off the back of this. I want to look at 5 players that we'll look at off the back of Adam Simpson's departure. Now, Liam Baker met with the Eagles a few weeks ago. Adam Simpson wasn't in that meeting, so does Baker think the Eagles might be further back now in their rebuild? Will he have his head turned potentially by the Dockers? We think the Eagles are in front for him. Harley Reid, Simpson couldn't have done much more for him in terms of their relationship. The next coach is going to need to build a strong relationship with him. Tom Barrass, the Bulldogs are coming hard. Does he have his head turned about maybe looking elsewhere now that the new coach is coming in? Liam Duggan, a 28-year-old captain who's a free agent, still yet to sign, which has taken a long time. No one thinks he's leaving, but still a bit to play out on that one. And then Chad Warner, the Eagles and Dockers will be throwing the kitchen sink at this guy in the next 12 months. He's got a year to run on his contract. I think the next coach will be important there. Is it Dean Cox, who he's worked with previously at the Swans? That might be just another layer to keep an eye on if they can bring Cox over from the West.
And the other candidates, Mitch, is there anyone in line?
Yeah, well, he's the clear front-runner now, given his relationship now, Dean Cox, with Don Pike, who he's worked closely with in the box at the Sydney Swans. Don't rule out Jamie Graham and Ash Hansen, who have coached their own teams in their own right, former West Coast players as well. Nathan Buckley, initially when he left Collingwood, was keen to say, I'm not keen to coach again, but now in the last few months he's refusing to put a line through that. So watch Nathan Buckley's name. Daniel Giansiracusa is doing good things at Essendon, and you can't rule out the interim coach, Jared Schofield, will always have their name thrown up for that sort of thing.